Hello, everyone, and welcome back to one of these interview episodes of the SWW show. I'm Mike, and today with me a special guest from decently around the world. To get us started, do you mind introducing yourself and the game and studio that you're part of?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. So I'm Tom Radstaff from Germany, Hamburg. And besides other things, I've been working as a game designer and game developer recently on a video game called Beacon Patrol, which is a cooperative tile-laying exploration game, quite cozy. And it was first developed as a board game, and now the video game adaptation will be released this year on Steam, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about it.
So, immediately, I think you're the first, board to, digital version conversion that I've talked to recently. So, I want to kind of talk about this, we'll start there. So this was a physical board game first, and then what kind of to you kind of was there any massive changes or challenges walking into making this into a video game?
Yeah, so just for context, I have a background in video game design and development, and Peak Patrol was one of the first successful board games that I made. And I was contacted by a friend of mine that told me, okay, if I ever have the desire to make a video game adaptation for it, he will love to help me. And now we're working on this together. And it was kind of interesting compared to developing other video games where you have this normally you have your pre-production phase where you throw together some prototypes and draft some ideas and so on, and we skipped most of this because like all the game mechanics were already the basics were already fleshed out of the game, and also the graphics were there, and so we skipped some of this part, but had to go back to later to adhere to certain video game conventions, like a progression within the game or unlockable content in the game, which is not that common in board games where you have this standalone experience that works for itself. And that is something where we spend a lot of time on in the last year to flesh out this single player progression based experience that is unique to the video game, that is not possible in the board game, but which also is true to the design of the board game. I would say that's the biggest challenge because like it pushed the scope of the game to become way larger than we had anticipated before.
No, I can imagine because I'm even thinking I've always think of this in the context when you hear discussions of specifically card games a lot of times, right? Infamously Hearthstone, they always talk about it's made as a video game and it can't work as a physical game. Or the problems you do something like Magic, or you get one of these that has instant do actions 10,000 times, games, but you don't have at least those problems. Obviously, the big part here is tile, and then there's that almost tactile nature. People really like board games. Did you try to translate any of that part down? I assume with audio design or anything like that to kind of make them still feel almost like you're doing these physical actions.
Yeah, that was part of the concept first. And of course, if you look at the game, we still have the tile visualization there, and we have our ships, but we went away from that, especially in the audio department, where we, through trying out, talking to audio designers, that a more cute and simply appealing nature of the sounds would work best for the game, and to not lean too hard on the tactile paper meeting wood experience, because that we felt that wouldn't work as well as we had originally thought. So we went away from it to a more to a more generally cute and cozy and appealing atmosphere.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I want to jump in and kind of just, I was just curious kind of the board game stuff first, but So people who've never played this game before or didn't have a chance to download the demo on Steam, like, what do you do in Beacon Patrol?
So the basic idea is that you build up a map out of tiles, similar to you would in classic board games like Carcassonne, and then you travel those maps that you've built. And the general idea is that you start on one tile in the center that is your headquarter of the Coast Guard. You're playing a Coast Guard ship in the base game, and you're laying out tile after tile, expanding your map and moving your ship around on this map. Uh, and the catch is that you only can place a tile where your ship is currently located. So you cannot expand the map wherever you want. You also have to keep in mind, how do I get my ship to that location where I'd like to place a tile? And that is the tricky part that makes it way harder than most people originally anticipate, to build up a compact and beautiful map. And the important thing is that you get points for tiles you have explored, and the tile counts as explored if it has 4 neighboring tiles, top, bottom, left, and right to it. Then you get points for it. And in the classic board game, you play so long until you place down all the tiles, and then you make you allocate the points at the end. And in the digital exclusive game mode we have implemented, this is done during the runtime of the game, and you also get new tiles for scoring points. So you have this kind of game loop similar to Dorfromantik, where the more points you can make during the game, the longer you can play the game. And if you're good enough, you can potentially play forever, build a huge map. That is the general idea. And I said it's a cooperative game, so you can play it alone, but you can also play it with your friends. And if you play it with several people, each of them gets their own ship and their own tiles to place, and each can exchange a tile with another player. And this is where the cooperative part comes in and plays a huge role. You will divide up the map for the different players. Like, okay, I will go to the top, to the north, and you go to the west, and we work on different bits of the map, expanding and exploring it.
Oh, there's a lot there. So obviously, I like the initial comparison. Kind of gives a good place, I think, for a lot of people of like comparing it to something like Carcassonne with the like tile placement part. But obviously, you started there of like the big part being obviously that to expand you must be occupying, and you must kind of keep that in mind with this game. Obviously, going kind of back to its physical game, like there's this level of like you're not doing a physical ton thing, so like the physicality is what kind of moves people forward a lot of times in these kind of games versus like a game where like they have to make you feel like you're doing a lot more things. Was there any problems you kind of noticed when you're doing like these actions that are like portraying a lot to us as board game players, but like physically aren't doing a lot of things?
You mean when translating the board game to the video game, or?
Yeah, or even like just generally speaking, like when you started playing, testing this game, seeing if there are any like problems or kind of making sure that like people understand all the rules directly in this game versus the implicitity of the board game.
Yeah, so I would say the rules are very intuitive when you have it laid out on the table or on your screen. It just takes a few minutes to get the hang of it, because like I tried with especially the artwork of the tiles to convey game rules, also with the theming, like ships cannot move over land, and so there are a lot of aspects that come quite natural, and if you explain them to people, they say like, yeah, oh, that makes sense. So I think that wasn't that big of an issue. So the design of the board game originally went quite smooth, I would say. It was more a lot of fine tuning, if you will, like which tiles do we have in the game. So there are different types of tiles, some easier to place and use, and others are more difficult. That was more of the challenge, but the core concept was something that after having done several other prototypes before for games that are different, I distilled those into the game that is now the Big Patrol, and so that worked really well from the get-go, and that was also something that we were able to quite nicely transport into the video game. So the video game has a few different challenges compared to the board game, but I think it worked out really nice in the end.
No, and I feel like it's interesting because like this is a space that I feel like isn't hyper explored. Like you have once in a while, like obviously the big ones do like Monopoly or whatever kind of translating, but I feel like there isn't a lot of conversions happening out there, at least in mass.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's happening more and more. Um, one thing not to forget is that there are several platforms, web-based platforms that are catered to digitalizing board games. And I don't only mean something like tabletop simulator, for example, where you can build your own, but like I think is it Board Game Arena that have their own development environment that like an SDK you can use to implement your board game into their web interface. And if you look at that, there are a lot of board games that have been translated into the digital space. But the interesting thing is that most of them are translated one-to-one. So it's like for board gamers who would like to play the game in a digital format because they cannot meet in person. And what we are trying to do now, and what is not so common, is to expand on the board game experience to create something that is worthwhile and appealing to people beyond board gamers. So people that like general puzzly, cozy games, but not especially are fond of board games, but like to play something similar, but we have to offer them some more, so they are willing to give it a try and they stay engaged.
Have you noticed that like when people like start playing either your demo or like part events or wherever you've kind of shown off the game, that they do seem to be like very much it seems to have a good hooking factor in it?
Yeah, I think so. So like the art style is quite appealing to most of them, and especially I think that we have improved on that a lot, especially in also for our tutorial, for example, how we teach the game to the players. It's way more intuitive and better working now than it has before. But the initial concept is seems to be similarly appealing to a lot of people than it is for the board game. Like this, yeah, they have this small cute ship and you build your coastal map and explore it. That alone is something that a lot of people are hooked by. Mm, because which is important for us because like this is not a flashy game, so it's not something where you have like huge, I don't know, animations and crazy stuff happening. It's a very calm experience that we need to transport somehow, and therefore this hook is very important in the board game even more. So in the board game, the table presence, how can people call it, is the huge driving factor. So if you see the game laid out on the table, people think it's beautiful and they want to play it. They want to build something like this themselves. That is something that doesn't translate that well into the video game because like the expectations of for video games are way higher in this regard, but it worked out nonetheless, luckily.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So as we're talking too, there's a demo actively on Steam that people could download. I'm curious because like obviously a board game like is the loop kind of itself kind of as a game. What is kind of the demo in comparison to the full game that people can get?
Yeah, so I have to say the demo that is up right now is quite outdated. I think we released it over half a year ago or so, and we're planning a big demo update soon. Um, I cannot say when it will happen, but um, we have two main game modes in the final game, and one of those is featured in the demo you can play right now, and the other one will be featured in the updated demo, if you will. One of them is the board game experience, which is a faithful one-to-one adaptation of the board game. Yeah, where you can choose and play the game as you would be able to um, if you had the physical game. And the other one, which is the main game mode for people coming from the video game space, is what we call exploration mode. And in the exploration mode, you start out with one ship, and the longer you play, you unlock new ships. Each of them have special powers, special abilities, come with special tiles, which you also unlock one by one. And you have this progression system where you starting out with your small fisher boat, and over time unlocking all the other ships available: construction ship, coast guard, hovercraft, submarine, and so on. And this both game modes make up the final game, and in the demo you only have a slice of it. So at the moment you only have mm, part of the board game mode, and after the update you will have like the start of the exploration mode, where you can do some unlock the second ship after the fisher boat to get a hang how the game loop will work. And everything else is locked at that moment and will be available to you in the full game when it's released later this year.
Nice. And this is currently 2025, so like just later this year at some point. Do you guys have like a
Yeah.
price point in mind? Are you still kind of debating that internally?
Yeah, so I have to say the game will not be released by ourselves, how we initially had planned to do, but it will be released by a bigger publisher that I cannot announce here yet. But they contacted us, and we came to an agreement to have the ability also to make this game and this release even bigger and better. But I think it would definitely be second half of this year, um, but not too late. But it's not. I cannot say a definitive date right now. Many factors playing into it. Also, what other games are releasing around that time, and what the publisher in that case deems a fitting date. But yeah.
No, that makes absolutely a ton of sense. So again, we're talking about Beacon Patrol. Um, so like I asked then, do you when you play the game or when you see other people play the game, is there a favorite strategy that you have kind of when you play?
Yeah, so one important thing in the game is to think ahead. So like each round you get 3 tiles to play, and you can keep one of them and draw 2 new tiles for the next round. And you never know which tiles you will draw in the next round. So the most important thing that you first have to learn when you start out playing the game is to bring yourself into the best possible position for whatever comes next turn. So you should avoid like gambling on, yeah, okay, I will position here and hope for next turn I will get this and this tile that will fit her perfectly. That's not going to work in most cases. So it's way better to think ahead, like, okay, if I get this kind of tile, from here I could go south. but if I get this kind of tile, I could go to the east. And this playing ahead and bring yourself into the best possible position is one of the key strategic insights. I would say that you learn very early in the game to get higher scores.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Is there anything that you feel like we've missed or you want to talk about here to highlight at Beacon Patrol?
Yeah, so like we also include the board game expansion in the video game. So like the board game got an expansion last year, and this is also fully included into the video game and is also part of the unlock sequence in the exploration mode that I talked before. And I would just like to ask everyone to try it out, to give it a chance. And if you like some cozy, relaxing atmosphere, like people describe it like cozy Carcassonne by the sea. If that's something you think you would like, I think this will be a great game for you.
No, that sounds absolutely great. Again, I want to say thank you for coming by today and talking about Beacon Patrol. The game honestly looks great. I played the demo a bit, and that I did enjoy it quite a while. So, and it plays great. So, coming up, Beacon Patrol comes out later this year. Everyone please go wishlist the game. Go check it out. See if it might be up your alley or not. So, again, congratulations, you get towards launch. And I always like to tell developers at this point, remember, get sleep. Don't only work on the game 24/7. All of us need to like take a break sometime.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yep, you have a good one.